Okay, hi, it is Wednesday afternoon over here in sunny, hot Las Vegas. I'm just doing a spontaneous video because of the crazy stuff going on. Everybody knows it's happening. A lot of people are in denial. Hello, Victor! Good to see you. Thank you for hanging out. So, it's like... Which angle should I come from? Let me think about this. I am watching and I am observing, kind of in a state of deep neutrality. And the only reason I can do that, I feel, with comfort and neutrality is because I've done a lot of my own homework and a lot of research to get me to the point where I can look at the astrology and kind of go, yeah, makes total sense. Everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. How is that so? Why is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are the way they are. The sun is over there and does that. The moon is over there and does that. The tides go up. The tides go down. People get angry. People get sad. People get happy. People reproduce. People kill each other. Miracles happen every day. Tragedy happens every day. It's all part of this divine perfection in which we live. So far to date, despite all the exploration and the technology and the trillions of dollars spent on, outer space, I mean, they've discovered a lot of interesting stuff. And of course, what they're all looking for is like, is there anyone out there? Is there anyone out there? Are we just alone here on planet Earth? Is it just us? There's gotta be someone else. And that train of thought makes me feel like, well, if you need validation of your existence from something or someone else, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm perfectly okay with accepting my existence as it is. It's finite. It has a three-dimensional body. It comes, it lives a life, and then it goes, and repeat. And there is this beautiful, magical world called the other side. And that's how I view it. And I've been very lucky in my life to have a lot of vivid perception and exposure to the other side. And so I just accept that it's there. I'm not in any rush to get there in particular. Because I, like a lot of people, I'm wary of my own death. Well, it's a subject that people don't like to deal with. They like to feel as though, like, well, I'm alive. That means I'm alive and well. And the whole idea of having to deal with your terminal nature, it's can be a little daunting. Hello, Necessary. So, anyway, I've done a kind of a slightly shorthand version of my astrodoodle because a lot of themes are repeating because of the way the planets are aligned right now, especially Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and then its support with the sun. I'm going to show you in just a second. But before I get there, I just want to point out the thing that I am paying close attention to at the moment, and that's all the Neptune energy. The moon is in Pisces, conjoined exactly with Saturn right now, and heading rapidly towards Neptune. What I'm sensing is a tremendous, astronomical amount of smoke and mirrors. Lies, deception, betrayal, blackmail, subversion, corruption, every unhealthy expression of Pisces, Neptune, 12th house energy that you can possibly imagine, especially since Neptune is retrograde and Saturn is retrograde, both in Pisces. Now, the next thing, we all know that. We all know we're basically watching a movie. It's unfolding before us, and every day the next page of the screenplay flips over, and we're waiting for the writers, the producers, and the directors and the actors to do their things. You know, there's the elites up there, the dark evil elites and the cabal, the NWO, the globalists, and all the money people. I want more money, more power and control. And then there's all the sweet, innocent subjects, the serfs, the peasants, the invisibles, the despicables, the deplorables, the masses. We the people, we are in the theater watching the movie. That's how I see it right now. Very, very close correlations with the movie experience. And it's like, what's next? What happens when we flip over the page? Because we live in a time continuum here in 3D Earth. Saturn, of course, the ruler of time. Tick, tock, tick, tock. There are a lot of alternative, let's say, alternative, truth-seeking observers all across the world who are very acutely aware that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on, and they are making it their business to swim through the smoke and the mirrors to find out what's actually going on behind the smoke and the mirrors. Because that's all shh, shh, hush, hush, secrets. 12th house, the house of secrets, the house of hidden enemies. Shh, shh. Ruled by Neptune, planet of mystery, divinity, beauty, connection with universal love. And of course, as with everything, the polarized version of that, which is the absence of love, the absence of divinity, which turns into a massive black hole in a three-dimensional plane that can never be fulfilled. It turns into lust. Sexual lust, pedophiles, bloodlust, power, money, and control. Those are all the big ones. And all those main themes are extremely active right now for all the people who have chosen a path of oblivion. I don't really want to go that way. Yeah, I might be considered, some people consider themselves, you're a victim. You're just a whiny, white, superior, privileged. Now you're claiming you're a victim. Well, what about the rest of us? We're the real victims. You're the oppressor. We're the oppressed. It's so pathetic. That storyline is so pathetic. Anyway, so here's the latest. You know, everybody in the world now knows that Kamala Harris has been anointed as the Democrat nominee to be the president. Everybody knows that Joe Biden wrote a mysterious, bogus seeming letter that he is stepping aside and that he's going to put all his support behind Kamala. And of course, some of the observers were expecting all of this. Okay, well, there he goes. We all told you Biden's going to get taken out, or he's going to take himself out and going to be replaced. Joe is no longer useful to the big money people. He's served his purpose. And the big money people are now aware that the big money people are basically pivoting towards the other side. That's Donald and his gang. And they are sucking all their money out of where they were before and going over to Donald and his gang. Now that includes, this is where it gets very, very let's say, ambiguous. The big money like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Blackstone, all the mega multi-trillion-dollar fund groups and the mega banks and the Federal Reserve and the central banks, they're all very deeply vested in the absence of love, the unhealthy expression of Neptune. They want more money, more power, more control, more access to little kids so they can do their little rituals and disgusting things they like to do, and so on and so on. And they've reached a point of desperation. Okay, I'll show that on the, well, I've already shown you on the chart many times. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Mars, and recently the Sun, all at these critical degrees, spacing out a little bit here and there. But essentially, if you look at the chart, it's been a long stretch of these critical degrees, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. Some of the aspects are going to change around, but Pluto and Neptune and Uranus are going to be tight for quite a while. Those are the subconscious, the impersonal planets. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Those represents the aspects of human nature that are beyond conscious comprehension, unless you're, I don't know, people like us. So for a lot of people, what is happening is beyond the senses, beyond observation. They might get glimpses here and there. They're not aware of the subcurrent that's actually happening. So those people are very easy to manipulate through the mainstream media. So that's what's going to happen. Now the crunch time where I've been observing is the disparity. Basically, follow the money. Follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. And what you find is that Joe Biden has completely lost all new sources of funding for his presidential campaign. It's shut down. He still has $90 million stashed away under his name. Meanwhile, Kamala has been anointed, and suddenly, under intense pressure, a bunch of Hollywood elites have dumped in about, I think it's about 150 million just in the last week. So Kamala is up to about $230 million, something like that. That's a lot of money to play with. That gives her tremendous power to manipulate the media, spend on the media and marketing campaign organizations, the MSM, mainstream media. In other words, the propaganda machine. That's ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and New York Times, Washington Post, all of that stuff. And that storyline gets pumped out in unison all across the world, just like Chinese propaganda, same kind of thing, just like Russian propaganda, same type of thing. Telling you that Kamala is the greatest, if not the greatest ever, potential candidate in history, in American history. Okay? That's what they have to say, because the reality is a little bit mediocre in comparison. Reality is, in fact, very, very slimy, it doesn't pass the smell test at all. It smells like raw sewage to me, frankly. So there's this awkward thing that's come about where the Democrats inside, they're furious with each other and themselves, but because they are the number one experts on coalescing around the core agenda, which is to get reelected, to get more power, money, and control at any cost, at any price. And that always comes down to lies, betrayal, deception, blackmail, coercion, murder, assassination. Repeat. So that's what's going on right now. And there are a lot of people who are saying that she has no right to access that $90 million from Joe. And in fact, there are lawsuits going out against her right now to stop that, because Even Democrats are pissed off that she is basically staging a coup. Coups happen. Coup, French C-O-U-P, it's a cut. It's like a massive, very quick, rapid knife slash, like the coup de grace in fencing, where you're fencing, you go like, and then dead. That's the coup de grace. That's the graceful, elegant move that you don't even see coming, and then you're dead. The coup is the French word for cut. So that's what happened. The Democrats did a coup on themselves. They basically got rid of Joe, and now they've inserted Kamala because they don't know what else to do. That's their best play at the moment. And they're going to work it because they can, and they have the ability to do so. And please do not underestimate them. They have tremendous power and money and control. But it's all done in, let's say, nefarious, mysterious ways. A lot of magic, smoke and mirrors, deception, lies, and betrayal. All of that stuff used to advance their agenda. Okay, so we all know that. We, the conscious observers, we're aware of all of that. So the next step is, it's all over the place, is Joe dead? So we're going to find out tonight. Some people are saying, well, yes, he is dead because he got sucked out on a medevac from Las Vegas a few days ago, went back to Washington for doctors and hospitals, and then the next minute you see him getting on a plane and a jet and he seems fine. So that makes the conspiracy theorists think like, oh, that's Joe's double. I forgot, of course, he's got that double. So what's really going on? We don't really know. Is he dead? Is he alive? Let's say that he's alive, or he looks like he's alive, and he's getting up and down on airplanes, and he's working in his basement, and he's going to do an announcement or a speech tonight. Some people are thinking and speculating, is he going to announce that, well, I made it, I'm still alive, despite all you crazy people thinking I just disappeared and didn't say anything polite. But I'm here, I'm strong, I'm stronger than ever. Karine Jean-Pierre just told you all that, so there you go. I'm the best president ever, the strongest ever. Karine Jean-Pierre, I'm sorry, you're crying. I know it's a very emotional time for you. So let's say he comes back, and option one, he says, okay, well, I've endorsed Kamala. I've anointed her as the nominee for the president. And I'm just going to give her the money. And she's raising tons of money already herself. So it's obvious what's going to happen. In the meantime, I have another 5 or 6 months to go, at least, before I have to leave the throne. So that's scenario one. And a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, what's that going to look like the next day, next week, next month as the screenplay and the movie unfolds? Kamala the movie. What's it going to look like? Anyway, so we'll see how things go. And there's option two. What happens if Joe says, there's so much scandal coming out, and I've heard it, people are telling me, oh, Joe, if you're unfit to run for re-election, then you're unfit to serve. And you know what? I'm Joe, and I'm the president, and I thought about that, and I thought, you're right. I've had a good ride. I know I could be a bit bullheaded, but I'm stepping down. I'm going to resign. And our dear sweet friend Kamala is going to take over for the next 6 months. So that changes everything, okay? So there's two possible scenarios that are unfolding. Who knows, maybe there's another one. I can't think of one just right now, but we're going to find out. It's all going to unfold because things are very swirly and mysterious, okay? So there's different, consequences for the different storylines. If he bows out now, that gives Kamala a massive runway and lead time to stage herself and present herself as the queen of the world, and she'll just walk in and take over. Here's that. There's the other scenario where everything turns to chaos and mayhem inside the Democrat Party, even though there's unity with a bunch of hardcore and they're throwing tons of money at her. There's some Democrats that are very, very, very angry, very, very pissed off at their own party, at Joe, at Biden, at Kamala, all of them, because they feel that they have been completely... somebody pooped on them. Okay? They don't like that, even if they're hardcore Democrats. So there's a lot of fractured stuff. So here's the thing. I've been looking at the charts. I'm looking forward, days, weeks, months ahead. Whether we like it or know it or not, we have to allow that Kamala has immense power and money and control behind her right now. Even though everybody in the world knows that she is, let's just say, not qualified to do this job in a way that's good for America or the world. However, that doesn't matter, because what really matters is that she's good for the Democrat Party. Because the only thing they care about is getting reelected, because that's how they make their money. It's all about campaign finance and keeping continuity of government. In other words, all the slush money that goes into keeping Washington going as a uniparty has to keep going. And the Democrats are experts at this. There's a handful, about 8, 10, 15, 20 Republicans who are hardcore trying to stop it all, but there's a lot of Republicans who are basically Democrats. So it's very, very, very difficult to hold a steady, strong foothold in the face of everything that's happening out there. And I take this very, very personally, extremely personally. My personal astrology is very closely aligned with the birth of the United States as we know it. And it's very, very aligned in a sort of weird, fateful way to the way the astrology is unfolding today. In other words, 1776 revisited. It's not a coincidence. There are millions of people around the world right now, Americans too, who are basically spiritually soul recycled from the 1776 era, the first time round of the Pluto cycle. Here we are. This is the first completed Pluto cycle for America as we know it today. It's done its first complete turn, and just like a Saturn return, a Jupiter return, a Mercury return, Sun return, it has certain characteristics. The best and the worst will be exposed. In other words, it's like the end of a movie, like the end of everything. And then it all starts again. Pluto in Aquarius coming up big time in 2025. So that's going to lead us into 20 years of global chaos and revolution in terms of we the people who want our freedom versus they, the elites, who want complete, absolute tyrannical control over the people, essentially using global surveillance systems like CrowdStrike, NSA, CBDC banking systems and mechanisms, and so on and so on, so that we the people can be harvested as an energy source in the same way that little children are harvested for some of the elites. That kind of vibe, okay? So it's serious stuff. I just want to go to the charts for a minute to give you an idea. So again, I've tried to point it out here, the trigger points. Crisis, 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 crisis. multiple crises amplifying and distorting and enhancing each other. It's very interesting to me astrologically that these crises situations are basically enjoying an intensely powerful mutual support system right now. See all this green here? It's very, 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 very supportive to Neptune energy and a little bit to the moon and a bit to Saturn right now. So what I am sensing is that the people, the elites whose existence is dependent on unhealthy expression of Neptune, unhealthy expression of Pluto, are convincing themselves that they are literally invincible, indestructible. As you know, in Geneva right now, in Switzerland, there's a lot of construction going on for the New World Order, the World Economic Forum, the EU, and all the global elites are building like a massive corporate compound from which they plan to rule the world. I'm not kidding. Do your own research. They are that confident in their ability to completely take over the world in a one world order, one government, the New World Order. Hello, Robin. Now, there's a few problems here, because in the background, if you look, there's some vicious, fierce, hard square here, and vicious, very vicious opposition here. So my feeling is that what we are witnessing now, live, real time, is the movie. All the smoke and mirrors and the magic of what happens in movies, and how the bad guys, I consider them, the elites, the bad guys, how the bad guys seem to be maintaining immense power, money, and control over the situation. The deep state, let's call them a deep state for America. And they have a certain advantage as well right now, because this energy here, the Saturn, Moon, and Neptune, is very, very powerful Neptunian vibe, Piscean 12th house vibe. And guess who that enhances? Let me see if I can show you. Stay right there. Yes. Guess who that enhances? She's riding a wave right now, an enormously powerful supportive wave that's giving her the energy, the momentum, the framework, the stage to amplify the fraud, deception, lies, betrayal, bribery, blackmail, murder, assassinations, crime, to keep it all going. Because they can't do what they do without without an extremely powerful veil of deception in the way, so that we the people can't figure it out. Guess who has that as her career point? This is her 10th house of destiny. So all of this is being transited right now, long-term, slow, very, very powerful transit on top of her. So she's riding the wave right now, but like I talked about the other day, when we did something talking about Kamala, she is so enamored with the lights and the power and everything, that she's convinced, 100% convinced of her own awesomeness, even while the rest of the world is sort of gagging on the side. So, put it this way. Just because Donald Trump is Donald Trump and he's a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, and he's becoming more and more powerful, more and more capable, more and more loved than ever before, I think of this as the enemy. And an example of the enemy is also becoming radically, profoundly more powerful. Just follow the money, and that'll tell you. Donald is very pissed off that she's just raised about $230 million in a week or two. Understandable. So we'll see what happens. So, a couple of scenarios. We've all figured it out. Joe comes on tonight and says, "Hi, I'm back. It's going to be a great time for the rest of the next few months as I wind up my presidency. Let's make the best of it, folks. In the meantime, I want you to put all your support behind Kamala, okay? She's the best of the best." And then the world has to deal with that. And the fundraising and the money has to deal with all of that. And the DNC, the Democrat, they all have to deal with that. The military-industrial complex, Wall Street, Hollywood, the Federal Reserve and the banks, they all have to deal with that scenario. That will show up in their scenarios. The other scenarios like, "Hey, it's Joe, you called it out. I'm an old man. It's been a fantastic ride. I've done the best I can, but people are calling out and saying, if you're not fit to be reelected, you're not fit to serve." And they have a point. So I'm gone. I'm going out. I'm going to leave you in the trusty hands of Kamala. Okay? And then a massive, massive earthquake happens. Like, what's the money going to do? Follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. Now the thing is, if you follow the money, big, deep money, they've already moved over to Donald. Even though there's a bunch of Hollywood people, okay, throwing in millions, in the background there's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that are moving towards Donald and his gang. So we'll see what happens. It's going to play out like a movie over the next few months, and there's going to be some real shockers coming out in the news. We'll find out maybe one or two of them tonight. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. Victor, what about Netanyahu speaking to Congress today? Well, I've been tracking that a little bit. He's probably doing it right now, but that caused a lot of shockwaves simply because Kamala made the decision, since she's basically acting president right now, she basically flew off to go to college and have a little speech and talk with her buddies at an old college where she used to hang out with some of her friends. So she went over there, and that enraged many of the Democrats and many of the Republicans. Like, if you're supposed to be the president, what the hell are you doing over there, schmoozing around with your college buddies? Doesn't make any sense, okay? Nobody showed up for Netanyahu when he got off the plane yesterday. Instead, what happened is Mike Johnson, the speaker, stood in. He acted as a stand-in, because he's third in line to the throne anyway. So he acted as a stand-in, represented America, Congress, Washington, the government, and so on. So it's ongoing. I don't know what's going to happen next. There's protests. A bunch of pro-Palestinians bombarded Washington, D.C. It's all staged. And of course there's the Jewish faction. It's all staged. It's all part of the movie, So we'll see what comes out tonight. It's already nighttime. It's evening over there in Washington now. A lot more stuff is coming out about the assassination attempt itself. Some of the attack dogs in Congress, like Jim Jordan, Josh Hawley, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and a bunch of others, including a bunch of Democrats, attacked Kimberly Cheadle. She resigned. She's gone. And now a new guy is going to be put in place, and he's going to have to take all the flack. So we'll see what happens, but it's all over the alternative media now that this whole thing was an inside job. Basically, the Democrat elites, that's, Hillary, Obama, and all that crowd, and all their big money people, basically realized we got to get rid of Joe. He's got to go. Joe's got to go. And so the whole idea was we'll stage a massive CNN debate where we know he's going to be degraded, humiliated, and fall apart live, real time, for the whole world to witness, which will give us an excuse to take him out officially because he's useless. He's served his purpose, and we're going to replace him. Of course, some pundits have been talking about it for a long time. He's going to get removed and replaced. So we'll see what happens. We're in the process right now of the removal and the replacement. We don't really know what that's going to look like yet, because the Democrats are kind of trying to figure it out as they go along, because their whole plan backfired in the most spectacular way that you can imagine. I mean, it doesn't get better. I mean, you can't write a bigger, better, badder assassination action movie than what we've just witnessed. And then all the fallout, the backlash, all the retrograde stuff. Remember, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And it went very wrong, very, very big for all the people who abuse power. There's a bunch of other stuff we really, really have to talk about, but that'll be a later time. J.J. Carell is getting his documentary ready about treason and what's happening, what's really, really happening at the border and with all the little children. It's almost impossible to imagine or describe the extent of evil that we're dealing with here. It's just mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. But it's all coming out. It's inevitable. I'm watching the global financial thing, of course, very carefully. Let me show you one more little tidbit here. This is, to me, this is kind of a big deal, because I think there's a lot of symbolism. I think I showed this yesterday. But there's a massive typhoon. Let's have a look. I'm going to find it. There is a massive typhoon that's already blown over Taiwan, heading to mainland China. And the direction the typhoon is blowing is going to take all that water into a already pre-existing overloaded flood zone that has been catastrophic on a scale never seen before in China or the world. If you watch the stuff I watch, okay, so this is a pretty decent picture. Let me see if like this I can get this for you. Okay, let me do it like this. This is Manila and the Philippines. This is the Western Pacific, okay? About 5,000 miles in that direction is America, California, Alaska, Mexico, and so on. This is China. There's 1.4 billion people living here, and this area is about 2/3 the size of the United States. So it's very crowded. They expanded dramatically in the last 30 to 40 years, so big, so fast that they took a lot of shortcuts in order to get all their skyscrapers and factories rolling. And now those shortcuts are all falling apart. Sorry, I don't want to go that deep. So the foundations are crumbling. It's nighttime already on the 25th in China. So there's a massive storm coming over here. All of this is the flood zone. This is the center of the flood zone here. Most of the flood area is moved up to here, but there's a big one coming back in over here. This is hurricane. It's dropped. It was 145 miles an hour over here, and now it's dropped down to, oh poop. It's now dropped down to about 110 miles an hour. So why am I watching this? They're calling it, in English, they're calling it Typhoon Karina. The reason I'm watching this is because, to me, it's very symbolic. Let's see if let me go in even a bit tighter. Okay. Here's Taiwan, and here's Fujian. This is one of the most important manufacturing hubs in the whole of China. right here. Okay? All of there's Guangzhou, and Shanghai is up here. These are cities that have 30 million people. Okay, and so on. This is the storm path. All of this is the flood zone. Wuhan is in very deep trouble. That's Wuhan. I mean, it's like catastrophe on top of catastrophe on top of a catastrophe. And I feel it's very, very aligned with the Neptune Pisces water energy here. Retrogrades. Like a lot of Chinese people right now feel that China has been basically cursed by the devil, and it's destroying itself live, real time, and that's kind of true. The CCP itself has been the engineer of all of this. It's very sad, tragic. It's very, very sad. And so that degree of tragedy will affect the markets in China. The Chinese banking system is already collapsing from the inside out. We've already talked about that. The CCP is already starting to what's the word? Hide themselves inside the compounds for the elites up outside of just outside of Beijing. Okay, so that's really, really terrifying, because Mr. Ping, he knows that he's on the verge of civil war and that he can't stop it. He knows that he's running out of money and he can't stop it. He's grabbing every penny he can, like a gangster in desperation right now, because that's what he is. And we'll see what happens. But I feel that the China thing is very closely linked to the American phenomenon. $35 trillion in debt. Where do we go from here? It's never happened before on Earth, so it's going to be very interesting to watch out. This is another movie, of course. We're watching another movie. So let me leave it at that, and enjoy the rest of your day. I might post something very late tonight, depending on what happens after the movie. The second installment of the movie comes out after 8 p.m. Kamala the movie. We'll see what happens. So, thank you very much for hanging out with me and listening. I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. I felt obliged to share. It's kind of frightening. But you're okay. You're going to be okay. Be loving. Be loved. Remember, you're a very lucky person, a very wealthy person, a very happy person, a very blessed person. Fact. If you're here, that is a fact. I'm leaving the music on, so if anyone wants to, you can always chat amongst yourselves.